Good morning, afternoon. Welcome to another live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, recent Yodi Award recipient. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful compliments and the comments yesterday. But we're talking about pro wrestling on this show, and I'm joined by these two incredible gentlemen going forward here. My brother Aaron Turner, Orlando. How are you?
Good. Like any good professional podcaster, I'm eating a cookie into the microphone. Got my Girl Scout cookies in this week, so shout out to the Girl Scouts of America.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
And someone who I don't know. Do you order Girl Scout cookies? Chris Burns is here with us. Chris, Girl Scout cookies, yes or no?
All my Girl Scout cookies I eat in private.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like most people, I think. And the shout out to this. We're trying out a new brand here. Thanks to my friend Tushka, who's been doing some rebranding for the Outlaw Nation in terms of the look and the overall approach to it. So be a little bit patient as we kind of work out the kinks a little bit on this. I think the logo's got to go a little bit smaller or move to the sides in two separate versions. So I'll be adjusting that as we go along. So don't think this is the permanent look, but we are getting there, and I wanted to try it out for a show. So thank you all for being patient and being guinea pigs for this. We're going to jump into so many things here today. This is a live episode. We're going to talk about the Royal Rumble fallout and people's reactions to it all week, including what happened on Raw and SmackDown connected to the end results of the Royal Rumble itself. We're going to get into some AEW Dynamite. MJF getting that victory over CM Punk in Chicago, taking care of business, starts with that incredible move on Jay Lethal. And we're going to also talk about the rest of AEW Dynamite as well. And then we're going to get into the Brian Kendrick controversy and talk some Nia Jax controversy. Why can't these mother effers just chill out and not get involved? We're going to get into all of that here as we break it down. But remember, Streamlabs and Superchats are open. Send in support for the show. Send in positive reinforcement that what we're doing here, you're enjoying. So there we go. All right, Aaron, where shall we start, my man?
Okay, it's a crazy week. So let's start with something somewhat normal. Thanks to everybody that caught our live stream on Twitch for the Royal Rumble that was there for that. Appreciate that. Chris was there, so we're going to get some inside, in-depth thoughts, possibly on a possible sign being on fire twice. So let's start with like the headline. Of course, Brock Lesnar and returning Ronda Rousey both win their respective Royal Rumbles. We'll run down the match card here. Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns by DQ. Becky Lynch defeated Doudrop to retain the Raw Women's Championship. Bobby Lashley defeated Brock Lesnar to win the WWE Championship. Edge and Beth Phoenix defeated The Miz and Maurice in mixed tag action. And, of course, like we said, Ronda Rousey defeated Charlotte Flair to win the Royal Rumble, and Brock eliminated Drew McIntyre last to win the Men's Royal Rumble. A lot of fallout, a lot of thoughts here. So I guess we should start with Chris, who was there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? Like, how was it being there? What was the vibe like? What were people doing? How did people feel about Ronda? How did they feel about Brock winning? What did it feel like?
The Royal Rumble live is always, it's just always exciting. It's probably the perfect wrestling pay-per-view because it has baked in sort of anticipation, the sense of unknown, and then WWE at a lot of points pulled that rug right up from under us because it was a fun show. I would say live, the crowd was very much into it. I know that the TV audience was very much like, oh, no one cares about this Becky Lynch Doudrop thing. But let me tell you, we were all looking at the WrestleMania sign being on fire, literal fire. So no one was really watching the match. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you any spots that happened because we were so intrigued by them lowering this jar. And the sign is much bigger than you think it is. Like, I don't know how big it looks to people on TV, but it is huge. Wow. So to see this thing on fire, and like at first we thought it was on purpose, that the Undertaker had returned and was setting shit on fire again. And then they had to lower it, move everyone out of the section, put it out, raise it back up. It was a whole spectacle. But so aside from that, though, like I said, it was a pretty fun show. Women's Rumble was way more entertaining than the men's. The men's, I think, was one of the worst in years.
Yeah.
Because they took the surprise factor out of us. I as soon as Brock lost to Lashley, my entire section, we're talking about, oh, well, he's going to win the Rumble. He's going to enter at like 30 and throw everybody out. And sure enough, that's what it was. And then WWE didn't even try to make it as though anyone else can win. It was mid-Carter, 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 Baron Corbin, mid-Carter, you know what I mean? I didn't mean to say Baron Corbin as though he's a mid-Carter. To me, he's less. But it was just no credible threats to actually win the whole damn match. And so, you know, and to have the audacity to put that on last as though that's like going to be our big moment, it was, you know, so a big crescendo to a terrible climax, ultimately.
Yeah, to me, I think I agree with a lot of what Chris said. I mean, it feels like a microcosm of the WWE right now. A lot of potentially awesome stuff betrayed by terrible booking or terrible decisions in terms of the results. You know, the Women's Royal Rumble started out initially was a little bit like, okay. And there were some blown spots. The Melina stuff was blown. The Naomi stuff was blown. And you're just like, okay, where, and then it picked up steam and it was a great ending. And Ronda coming in, although some people might have an issue with that, a lot of people saw it coming. Certainly, we talked about it on the show last week in our predictions thing. So no surprise, she took the victory. It's not as much of an offense as what we're going to get to here for some people in the fandom here, and that's the Men's Royal Rumble. That was a boring Men's Royal Rumble. I was really surprised at how unsurprised I was by some of the returns, how I didn't pop for a lot of the returns, or for almost any of the returns, really. And then in the end, you saw it coming a mile away, and making him come in that late, I thought was I get it, but it's a weird situation because a guy that big shouldn't be coming in that late. Because then it becomes like, okay, this is really easy. With Ronda, it's different because Ronda still had to eliminate 10 people or something like that. Lesnar coming in that late, it just felt a little weird. And then Shane McMahon putting himself in the final four and hearing all the fallout of that behind the scenes just kind of blew me away. What a colossal mistake they made here yet again by a McMahon getting involved, booking a thing in a certain way. And I'm really shocked that it was Shane. If the rumors are true, I'm really shocked that it was Shane, because Shane has never come off, at least to me, in my opinion, never come off as one of these guys that puts himself above the company. And so he's gone away and done other things. He's not Stephanie, who's a lifer. So it's really surprising. But I'll tell you this, Chris says, a lot of people didn't watch this thing. I really enjoyed the Dewdrop match. I think she acquitted herself really well in this match with Becky. And there were moments where I thought my crazy prediction would come true, because she pulled off some really powerful moves on Becky. And shout out to Becky for rolling with it and making that match come off really well as well. Lashley Lesnar was great. Lashley getting that victory was good to go. The turn by Heyman, everyone kind of saw coming at the end of the day. And the less said about the mixed tag team match, in my opinion, the better. So those are my overall thoughts. Great to see Mickie James. I love seeing Melina, but it was kind of a rough thing. And then, of course, seeing Kofi mess up his spot, that was really disappointing on so many levels. So just a lot of possibilities and potential going down in flames like the sign did. So maybe that was a bit of a harbinger of what we were going to get from the overall show. Aaron, what did you think?
I think overall, my favorite part of the entire Royal Rumble, the whole pay-per-view, was Ivory. Coming out and doing her right to censor 100%. Spot where she just had the microphone the whole time, and then they threw her out and she was still using the microphone. It's that's how you make the most of your minutes, because she obviously wasn't going to win. She's not she's not young in the traditional wrestling sense anymore, but she still looked the same, which is pretty wild. I mean, she's a Hall of Famer. She's well respected. She did the gimmick. She did it to the T. I'm getting kind of desensitized to the Molly Holly thing, because I feel like we've seen it 3 or 4 years in a row now. And I'm like, okay, I get it. She can still go. She's great. She's a producer. It's wonderful. But I don't need the Mighty Molly gimmick every year. But I really liked what Ivory did there. And I didn't hate most of the matches. I thought they were fine. A non-finish in a title match is always kind of a pain in the ass. So you're really not going to make people happy if that's the way you go anyway.
Well, yeah, with Rollins and
Roman
Reigns.
And Seth. Yeah. So Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix was actually better than I thought it was going to be. I thought that Maurice actually acquitted herself pretty well for what she could do. And Miz is just in the comedy spot right now, and that's what they were for, essentially, and it worked fine. It was we had Brock and Lashley, and then we had this as kind of our bridge to the Men's Royal Rumble. So as far, I just echo everything you guys said about the Men's Rumble. Just felt like I wish they would stop putting tag teams in it. We know that Chad Gable and Otis are not going to win the Royal Rumble. There's no chance. So I wish they would put people in there that have a legitimate chance, and then don't put like AJ in there to get eliminated by Riddick Moss. Like, don't let that happen unless you're going to push Riddick Moss to the moon. That was when I knew something. Like, I kind of figured the Brock thing was afoot, but when AJ got dumped over, I was like, oh wow, they're really just not gonna. They're really going with Brock. And then Bad Bunny, as much as I respect Bad Bunny for doing his thing, he doesn't need to be in the final four of a Royal Rumble. So,
how dare you?
But I love him. I love Bad. I wore a Bad Bunny t-shirt during the Rumble watch along. I think he's great as a celebrity wrestler, but just like,
I tell you, shouldn't have been in the Rumble.
Dude.
It's Johnny Knoxville. We're gonna go celebrities. I mean, because that was a really wasted spot.
I mean, they put Drew Carey in there once, right? So
but we can't keep doing it. We can't go, well, they put in Snooki. I mean, we should be moving past that kind of shit, in my opinion. Because I get the cross promotion. You could do a vignette in the back. That's going to give you just as much of a promotion as having Johnny come out with his crew. Although it was a fun moment, and Jackass Forever is an awesome film. You guys better go see that thing. I still think it wasn't necessary to put him in the Rumble. Have someone else in there who could have some fun going and getting promoted. I mean, you can't tell me Braun Breaker taking Johnny Knoxville's spot isn't a better situation, or Gunther, or any of these other people that could have rolled through there and had some fun. Ciampa would have been fun. I'm just throwing it out there. What about you, Chris? Tell me, what was the reaction? Aaron brings up an excellent point. What was the reaction in the crowd after the Rollins Reigns match? Were people upset because it was a damn good match up until that non-finish? What did you think about that?
I mean, the match was a banger to me.
Yeah.
Like Rollins, I feel like reminded everybody, like, I'm not just the annoying guy. Like, I can go. Like, I can really go if given the green light. And when, I mean, he's always in the past brought Roman to a lot of his best matches. I personally enjoyed the booking. And what I felt like the energy was that the crowd was finally booing Roman Reigns, the bad guy, the heel,
right,
as opposed to everyone's booing the booking. Because it's like, yes, a good heel is someone who takes away what we want, right? And that's what, and rather than just having Roman just beat everybody,
right,
he robbed us of a real finish to this match. And it kept Seth strong. It kept the storyline going of he can't beat Seth clean. It was the callback to Seth breaking up the Shield and showing that Roman still has some residual anger about that, because God knows he never even reacted to it when it happened the first time. And so it was like, I thought it was great. And it seemed like the crowd really was finally into the story of it all, as opposed to the meta, which we're always like complaining about.
Well, what about the ending? Did the ending kind of upset people in the crowd while you were there live?
Well, yeah, but in the way that you want them to be upset. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see it again. I want to see them fight again. I want to see Roman finally get his comeuppance. I don't, it wasn't this like, oh crap, another dirty finish, boo boo. You know what I mean? It wasn't that. It wasn't that attitude at all.
Well, where does it go from here? I mean, if it isn't, is it going to go to WrestleMania? Is that what we think? Because aren't they setting up Lesnar Reigns in WrestleMania? Or is it going to be the
WWE? They'll forget about it. I mean, they're going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We did this whole thing to keep a thing going. The only feud that's going to keep going, ironically enough, is probably going to be Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn, and that's going to end up at WrestleMania. Rollins is going to do something else, unless Rollins somehow wins the Chamber coming up, which I don't see happening with Lesnar in there. Right. So. Yeah, I feel like we're still going Roman Brock at WrestleMania. Go all Goldberg aside. Oh, God. But I don't know. I don't think that they're even going to continue it probably till much later down the line.
That's crazy. Aaron, thoughts on? Did you like Ronda winning? Would you like to have seen someone else win? Did you like Lesnar winning, or would you rather have seen someone else win?
If I'm not going to get Bayley coming back to win, then I'm fine with Ronda, because Ronda is legit. I don't have a problem, as I tweeted out. I'm actually looking forward to watching Ronda kick people's ass again. It's kind of nice. However, on Monday Night Raw, her promo was really bad.
Yes, it was.
They piped in crowd noise, and that was also really bad. That doesn't bode well for what's going on here. So it's either going to come to a point where Ronda's going to get with the program and she's going to start endearing herself to the fans, or they're going to cut her out. That's all it's going to be. So I did not have a problem with her winning, because to me, if she's going to be in it, she has to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't have Charlotte win it again because it was too soon. If you're not going to have a big return like an Asuka or a Bayley, they can't win it. And then when Sasha was there, I think Sasha was just there to get in the Rumble. I don't think she was actually going to do a lot of time because of her injury or whatever.
Right.
Nice spot with the splits, which I said on air would be the most jiffable thing
you did
to ever come out of a Royal Rumble, and it has been. So shout out to Sasha for that.
Oh my God.
But yeah, as far as the men's Rumble, I think there could have been many ways you could have gone with it. If you didn't want Brock Lesnar in there, then once again, if Brock's in it, he's got to win it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to eliminate him? So you can't have. But they already did that. They did. I know, like a year and a half ago. So you can't have that. I mean, who are you going to go with? Riddle? Probably not. Randy Orton? No, he just won it a couple of years ago. It's like I get AJ was my only like saving grace. It's like, let's roll with AJ and see what happens. And
was Big E? But I mean, Big E is someone that we had predicted, right?
Unceremoniously eliminated, like just gone, just out of there. And it's like I think they're done. I think they're done with Big E, and that makes me really sad. So yeah, if Brock's in, he's got to win it. So I guess the business sense of it, I understand. As a fan, I'm like, man, like let's make this good. Let's make it good again. And then I read. Here's something else that I didn't put in the rundown, but we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but WWE released its financial report for the whole year of 2021 on Thursday. And they are the most profitable that they've ever been in the company's history.
Jesus.
In terms of revenue, the company brought in $1.095 billion, a company record, and the first time its annual revenue has eclipsed $1 billion. So it's also it's double the revenue of the Attitude Era, which everybody, hey, it's the greatest time in professional wrestling. Double that. So we're not going to get any. Sadly enough, we're not going to get any of this anytime soon. I mean, they've released 100 people or so wrestlers, and they're still rolling as the top dog in all. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
well, if you cut $500 million worth of salary, it's going to look profitable in the long run, I imagine. But anyway, Chris, any thoughts on on Lesnar winning and Ronda winning? Any issues with them winning? You get it that it's a business, but also a booking sense. There were these rumors that Riddle was supposedly. By the way, I don't believe any of that. I think they had their plan. There's no way they let Lesnar lose, and then Vince is like, I don't know. Let me flip a coin. All right, fine. Lesnar, go in there. I mean, I don't want to believe that was the plan, because that's crazy to think about. But did you have any issues with the winners? Would you have liked to have seen other winners in the Rumbles?
No, I agree very much with Aaron. Like, if Ronda's going to show up, like, she's got to win. It doesn't having her dumped out and then trying to build a storyline to WrestleMania with her, unless they're going to push somebody who eliminated her. But there's really no spot for her other than the main event, really, in that division. Right. And even though that promo was awful on Monday Night Raw, and her attitude seems to be, well, time to grab a check right now, but it just. She's good for the division, ultimately. Mm-hmm. Like, she's legit. She has the pedigree. At least when she was here, the first time she had like a zest for professional wrestling. And, when Asuka and Bayley do return, to have Ronda in the mix with Charlotte and Sasha, Naomi, the division starts to look a lot stronger than it's been over the past 2 years, where Bayley was carrying the whole thing. And as far as Brock is concerned, it's just like, again, I don't know, man. It was biting into a cheeseburger with just cheese. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, okay, yeah, you're right. I did order a cheeseburger. Very funny. But you know what I mean? It was like, Brock, you knew it was going to happen. You knew what you were getting, but you just nothing satisfying about it whatsoever, because if the plan is already going to be Roman Brock, like, just do it. and use the Rumble to put something else over. Like, it's fine. Like, Brock and Roman is a big enough story as it is. It's just, it's a hat on top of a hat. We don't need him to win the Rumble in order to have interest in that story. You know, Paul Heyman was enough, really, to have intrigue in that story and the 2 titles being on the line. Like, we didn't need this wrinkle to ruin our experience in that situation.
Yeah, you could have found a way to weave him in. They've done that many, many times when they're like, okay, it makes more sense to set up this matchup at WrestleMania. Okay, let's make up some kind of storyline here over Raw and SmackDown to lead to that particular result. Let's do that. Like, somebody gets hit from behind in the back. It's Lesnar knocking somebody out, and then he comes out and challenges, and it becomes a whole thing. That's the smarter move. You know, you can play it that way. You didn't need him to be in the Rumble. That's an excellent point both of you make. Yeah, it was a little weird. I mean, yeah, you just, as soon as you heard the music, you're like, okay, there he is. He's going to win. There's no other way out of this. It's really confusing to me because it felt like they were pushing McIntyre with the game, with him being out there more, with these other things going on. I thought they were going to kind of set up McIntyre for the Ascension, especially after Big E got knocked out. I was like, okay, there's really no one else left. And then Lesnar's music hit, and I'm like, crap. All right, I guess we're going to have to play this out the way it's going to play out. And I know I may be alone on this island, but to me, the 2 most inauthentic moments of the night were both Ronda and Lesnar pointing to the WrestleMania sign. It just doesn't work for me, especially Ronda, who is even more of a part-timer than Lesnar. And she loves the business. Don't get me wrong. She did that ECW documentary thing, which was a little rough to watch at times. So I get that she loves the business, but she ain't a lifer in the business. So pointing to that sign to me doesn't carry the same weight as it does for a wrestler who's been there for years and years and years to get their shot, to get their spot, to finally kind of headline WrestleMania. So I get that you have to do it. I would have been fine if they didn't do it, to be honest with you. I would have been okay with having no issue with that at the end. So we'll see. I mean, she did a better promo on SmackDown. Ronda did with Charlotte. Although the thing with Ronda's promos, it veers into reality sometimes. It feels uncomfortably real at certain moments that you're like, this doesn't feel like a character promo you're doing. This was, you could actually kill Charlotte if you wanted to right now. Like, you would do it. And I think that's where I get a little, whereas Lesnar's promos, Lesnar's at another level right now with everything he's doing. And I almost think the booking of him winning this may have undercut him a little bit in what he's been doing, because that's been the fun of everything with him, is that he's kind of got a slight little underdog thing rolling through, even though he's this massive beast. The fact that he's in this position and having to fight to get to the belt, then losing the belt, fans would have been even more on his side if he was trying to find a way to get into that WrestleMania match rather than handing him the Royal Rumble victory. So just little things observing as fallout of the Royal Rumble. What else should we talk about a little bit more about Shane's situation there, Aaron, or is there anything more to say about the Rumble itself?
We can just move on to the Shane thing if you want to talk about that. So in weird news of the week, it was reported earlier this week that Shane McMahon had quietly been let go from WWE and has no longer figured into the plans of the Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania 38, or episodes of WWE television. And then Dave Meltzer, whether you want to believe Dave Meltzer or not, confirmed that Shane McMahon is no longer with WWE or booked for future shows. Meltzer went on to say there is, quote unquote, a lot of heat on Shane over this year's Royal Rumble match. He was the lead producer for the Men's Rumble and also appeared in the match as in-ring talent. It was said that he had no idea what was going on, and then a lot of it ended up being changed at the last minute. So I don't know how you quietly let go of Shane McMahon, number one. That's a stupid ass headline, but like, I can't. Sorry, man. So in doing my research on this one, like, I saw Meltzer's report. I went and read further and further and further, and no one can confirm. See, there was the report that Shane was the producer. Then there was a report that Shane had nothing to do with it at all, and he was just a talent that was there on a per diem, so he just kind of comes in whenever he wants. So that happened, and I don't know what to believe. I tend to think that if Shane McMahon was the producer, he would have done more stuff. I don't think they would just bring in Shane McMahon to be like, hey, Shane, I know you've been gone for a minute, but why don't you just produce this Royal Rumble, like one of the top pay-per-views that we do every year? So that's a little weird. I also read a report that Shane McMahon hadn't been working full-time with WWE since like November. Like, he'd been gone since then. So I don't know who to believe, what to believe, where to believe, but I can tell you that Shane McMahon doesn't need the WWE doesn't need that money. Shane McMahon has plenty of money from his overseas deals when he was gone from WWE for like a decade. He made a pretty nice little nest egg for himself. So, as far as it's going right now, though, it is weird that like Shane McMahon gone, Triple H essentially gone from NXT. Like Stephanie's never leaving. She's a daddy's girl. So, if Stephanie ever got cut or fired, then the whole place is burned down. So, I think it's nothing. I think it's a mountain out of a molehill. So, I mean, what do you guys think about it?
I don't know what to believe. Sorry about that. I just had a little bit of food before it started. Sorry. I don't know what to believe when it comes to Shane, because I mean, the idea of the WWE quietly letting Shane go, you can't quietly let go the boss's son. There's no way to do it quietly, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way to do that. So to me, it's an odd situation. And many people have booked horrible Rumbles, horrible matches, horrible programs, horrible nights of wrestling on pay-per-views. Those have happened before. So this idea that people are piling on Shane, I find that to be highly unbelievable. I mean, some people were making funny gifs about, or funny memes of him, AEW, they're going to show up at all Elite with Triple H, which I thought was very funny. So, but for me, overall, I think, look, maybe he did book this thing and he terribly booked this thing. And in the end, they decided, you know what, just go on and keep doing your thing. But no way was he quietly let go. It just seems like an odd thing to hear. That being said, I mean, if he booked this thing, he deserves all kinds of criticism because it was one of the most boring, out of touch Royal Rumbles that we've seen in quite some time. What do you think, Chris? Is there any validity to this stuff?
Rings of exactly what we talked about last time I was on. Scapegoating. Pure scapegoating. Like, yeah, exactly, Aaron. Oh, I know that you don't work here, but we have this super important event that we got going on in WrestleMania. Can you come, I don't know, plan it for us? I know you're not involved in any storylines, don't know where we're going or anything, but come on in, tell us what to do. Oh, man, it was bad. You got to go. Like, no, come on. We're smarter than this. We know that WWE has leaked false information to try to take blame away. It's just like when wrestlers get these horrible gimmicks and then the stories come out where it's like, it was their idea. She totally wanted to be Nikki ASH. It's like, get the hell out of here with this. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, Shane O'Mac, look, biologically he's Vince's son, but if you guys have been paying attention week to week, Vince has a new son. Okay, Austin Theory is his child. That's why he doesn't care about Triple H anymore. That's why he doesn't care about Shane. Yeah. Like, out with the old, in with the new, baby. I knew it was the rap. Years ago when I talked about on my old podcast, like on John Cena's birthday, Vince McMahon tweeted this super long happy birthday to the Babe Ruth of pro wrestling, guy who's meant so much to me and this company. Shane's birthday, happy birthday, add Shane McMahon. So I think that kind of sums up what's going on here, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Shane, you got your own family. Don't worry about Vince.
That's what I mean. He's been the prodigal son. When he shows up, there are some great Shane McMahon matches in the past. Absolutely. King of the Ring match was incredible. He's had just some fun matches in the past where he showed what he can do. Even the match against his dad, I think at WrestleMania, was a fantastic match showing his incredible skills and abilities and his high flying stuff, the stuff that he's willing to put himself through. Shane has been incredible in that way. So but he's never really felt like he was there permanently. You never saw him angling to try to take daddy's position. You never saw him do any of that kind of stuff. He wanted to kind of make his own way. And he's got some tech stuff, all that stuff he's making. So to me, that seems odd that they would just bring him in and go, here's a huge event. Why don't you plan it? See what you can do with it. Let's test you out. Let's take you for a test drive and see what you got. It just doesn't make any logical sense for me overall. Although I know, we could say the WWE's done some dumb stuff in the past. This one seems a little bit beyond the pale. And even Vince, I don't think would be crazy enough to hand this off to his son. Considering how much of a control freak he is, it just would seem odd. So maybe all the decisions that people are hating that Vince might have made, he's just going to put it on his son. I wouldn't even put it past Vince to have his people float this story out there to the dirt sheets. So they could put it out there to kind of undercut Shane.
Speaking of dirt sheets, I have an anecdote about Dave Meltzer, and I don't know how people I don't know how people feel about Meltzer. I'm kind of
he blocked me, so I don't have any feelings.
Whatever. I just don't take a lot of what he says seriously. But And another guy I don't take a lot seriously is Eric Bischoff. However, Eric Bischoff this week unleashed a small tirade on Dave Meltzer that I must read this quote because it is unbelievable. So this is Eric Bischoff to Dave Meltzer. It says, "You want so badly to be recognized as someone really important to the industry when in fact you are nothing but a fucking parasite who made $500,000 a year writing about shit you know nothing about and reporting stuff half the time that isn't true anyway."
Damn.
Eric Bischoff is my new favorite person. I love it. I love that. Like every time Meltzer posts something, you have to take it with a grain of salt because yes, Dave does have insiders. He's got people there, but so does everybody else. It fucking seems. Yeah. And it's like you have to go through 10 different people to figure out what's the tea, what's the truth, because they will still kayfabe Meltzer. Like people will feed him shit just to feed him shit. So I don't know. I don't know what the report is. I can't imagine. Like we talked about, that Shane McMahon is just brought in out of the blue, do the Rumble. Okay, it sucked. Now you're fired. It doesn't make any sense. How you fire your own son? Like, come on, get out of here.
I mean, do you put any stock into these rumors, Chris and Aaron, that he was like going to book himself against Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber or at Mania? Do you guys put any stock in that? Does that make any fucking sense at all? Shane doesn't strike me as the guy who would do that. It just doesn't character-wise make sense to me. Stephanie would do that, not Shane. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Shane has always been in that feature spot, the Undertaker spot, the Andre the Giant spot. It's
right.
I mean, what has he won titles before? Like I think he was the European champion, hardcore champion.
Right.
Never anything of consequence. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And it should be that way. McMahon's, when they're in storylines, it's like there never needs to really be a title involved. It's like almost bigger than the belt in a lot of ways. Yeah. And it does. Yeah. Especially considering Shane's last run with the company, and he wanted to do, Raw Underground and, expound on what he has been wanting to do for years, which was like kind of an ECW in the WWE or UFC, sort of scenario within WWE. He's always been interested in that kind of thing.
Right.
Never titles, never the big main event spot at a pay-per-view. So it's just, everything is antithetical to what the reports have been. And so not for me.
Yeah.
Are you talking about former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Vince McMahon, as well as former ECW Heavyweight Champion Vince McMahon?
Yeah. And not to cut you off, but that's always been a Vince thing. Vince is always like heat over anything, and so it made sense in his brain to become WWE champion, to become ECW champion, because they'll hate it. You know what I mean?
They'll hate it, pal.
He loves that. Like I've had my sources tell me so many times, like how everybody will boo something like horridly, and Vince is just laughing his ass off and gorilla at it. He loves when we hate stuff. And so, but Shane doesn't seem like that.
I just want to say for the record that I thought Raw Underground was okay.
Oh God.
I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't want to sit in front of the TV to watch it every week. I didn't DVR it just to watch it. I was like, that's different, I guess. So kudos to that. It's better than I don't know. The Brawl for All, I guess. At least it's fake and people aren't getting really hurt.
How dare you? We need to talk about your hatred of Aliyah, which came up during our SmackDown or during our Royal Rumble watch along. Chris, I need you to understand, Aaron Turner has a very deep hate for Aliyah, and I thought Aliyah acquitted herself damn well in that Royal Rumble. I don't understand the hatred. I get the Austin Theory thing. I can understand. I don't. That seems like a daddy's kid situation. But what was your hatred of Aliyah, man?
I don't hate her, for one. You just kept saying, like, during the match, you're like, wow, this Aliyah kid's got some really good moves. She's really smooth. I was like, no. No, she's not. And she was the longest tenured person at the PC for a reason. I'm glad she's finally getting her shot with
Justin Herbert stayed all 4 years in college. I'm just letting you know. So did Peyton Manning. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't still be great.
Justin Herbert spent all 4 years in college, and what quarterback's going to the motherfucking Super Bowl from his class? That'd be Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty.
It's not his fault that his idiot coach called a fucking timeout. That's not his fault.
Joe Shiesty. But anyway, I don't hate her. I just think that if we're going to start saying that she's doing good moves, then I'm done. Like, I can't.
Really?
She's got talent, but she's also like 92 pounds, and she ain't no Alexa Bliss, my friend. She ain't no Alexa Bliss.
All right, fine. What's your feeling on Aliyah there, Darkitect?
I got no problems with Aliyah. I mean, they don't give her much.
I know.
She's kind of made the most of what little she's been given. I thought, you know what I mean? I'd like to for her to have one more face other than the, oh my God, I just did that face. But other than that, I've got no problems with her so far, but there's no character there. It's just, and here's a girl named Aliyah in it so far, but so all right. It's hard. It's hard.
I'm just saying, I mean, Ronda's getting away with, I just smell sour milk face. That's all she's ever done herself. So, I mean,
I can't Ronda point.
It's weird, right?
What is this? What is that? It's like is she in a feud with the WrestleMania sign?
I think she's super nervous. I really do. For all the promos, I think she gets weird. She gets real self-conscious when she's out there. I think the criticism does get to her. I remember this is a woman who, when she lost, went out into the woods and almost took her own life and was pooping with toilet paper out in the woods by herself. I mean, she has some weird reactions to things. So so maybe the pointing is kind of a nervous tick of hers in a way. I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe there's an injury from MMA. I don't know. Man.
I know the way. I know the way that Aliyah could get super over in WWE, and it won't take much.
Okay.
She needs a manager. She needs a mouthpiece.
Okay. You don't like her. You don't like her promos?
No. Bring in Timberland.
Who?
Timberland.
Oh my God.
I really need somebody. Tell me that's somebody.
Oh my God! Did you just want to sing that morning? So okay, you found it in.
That's the only Aliyah that's relevant to me. So move on.
Stop trying to win points with Black Twitter. All right.
What? I'm glad
that's not the way to
do
do it.
I'm glad somebody said it.
I know other songs.
Oh, good. Anyway, all right. Anything more on this Shane McMahon situation? Should we move past it? We won't see him for a while, right? We won't see him for a while.
I do want to address something in the Zeno Hour said that, even though he didn't send in a super chat.
Yeah, what's going on?
He said off topic, Aaron Rodgers to the Titans, yay or nay? I understand that Aaron Rodgers bought land in Tennessee. I get that. Yeah, so did my friend that lives in Florida. It doesn't mean anything. And why would you go from a small market in Green Bay for football to an even smaller market for football in Nashville? It doesn't make any sense. And that's a running offense, not a passing offense. As much as I would like to see Aaron Rodgers there for his ability, I'm going to have to say no. I don't think so.
It's San Francisco, Denver, or back to Green Bay. There's no other options for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no.
I think Denver's the most loyal,
possibly. Chris Milner is sending a super chat. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're 35 minutes into the show, and we haven't gotten one super chat, one Streamlab. What's the situation? We got almost 100 of you watching us live right now. Give us some love. Give us some support here as we go along through the show. Chris Milner says, honestly, a big takeaway from the Rumble is that WWE's theme music was way too generic. I didn't know who came out during the Royal Rumble, minus a few. Yeah, there you go. What did you guys think?
I mean, that wasn't that noticeable for me. I mean, maybe because I'm so entrenched in WWE theme music. Like we talked last week about how trash AEW theme music is, and it's all the same. There's some around. No, I usually can tell who's coming out from the opening. No, we should do that. We should play a game one week where we just throw the first couple seconds on and see if we can name what that theme music is.
Wow.
I'm just getting gold ideas on a regular, but I didn't experience that. It took me a second for Ivory, who was indeed the highlight, and I got to sit next to her sister.
Oh God. Really?
Yeah.
She must have been loving it.
So I kind of got spoiled that she was showing up. I might have texted John about that.
Well, yeah, maybe. What did her sister say after she was in and out? Did she love that she got that spot?
Oh, she was just saying how ecstatic she was to be back. I mean, Ivory has always been someone who is an unsung kind of superstar from the past. Who's always solid. She was another one. Like no matter what they gave her, she made the most of it. She was much older than a lot of the other women from when she started versus when they started, and she was married at the time, and so like, you know, she never got that like spotlight of like, look at the young hot, you know, thing coming in. Right. But you know, she was great. She was always great, and she showed exactly why in this Rumble with so little time. Was Cameron a waste of a spot? Was that? What did you guys think? Was that necessary to see her be a part of it?
We're furthering the storyline that nobody cares about. That we're pretty sure at this point is just because Sonya Deville's racist. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And the way that Naomi was just unceremoniously dumped. Like she didn't get to do anything like necessarily cool. Like she got to do the headstand, but she's done that before. So it's like, just give Naomi some shit to do, man. She can do some shit. Just do it. And then, or just get Sonya Deville to do something else. Like, I don't know. And then Cameron, God bless her, was like tweeting like, oh, me, you know, happy to be back at the Rumble. And everybody was just burying her. Like, thank God you were in and out and stuff like that. It's like, you know, it is what Cameron.
It was a bit of a Force Awakens situation. It's like, all right, you're going to bring people back from the past and they're not going to interact at all. Like, why bring her in if she's not going to see Naomi at all? Like, what's the point of that? I don't understand.
She was already out before Naomi even got there.
Wait, are you killing Han before he sees Luke again? Are you killing Han before he? What?
Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Bella things, I thought that went off well. Odd to put Shayna at 30 and have her dumped out. That, I mean, she's just as ferocious as Lesnar for the women's division. So it was shocking to see that. I did like Mickey coming in. That was a great thing. Her comments afterwards was awesome. Her with the belt was great as well. I thought Michelle McCool in the Beth Phoenix spot did a really great job for as long as she lasted. And the thing with her and Mickie James bringing up that old shit between them, I thought was awesome as well. I mean, I think those are the things that stood out to me the most as I was watching the women's Royal Rumble side of things.
I think Mickie James in the Royal Rumble got a better run than her entire second run with WWE on the main roster. Like, for real,
tweet. Like, tweeted that was great.
They made her like a star. Like, they made her look really relevant and good, and like gave her a lot in that. And I was like, well, why didn't we do this before? When, you know, we had her, and then we brought her in we said, okay, you're healthy, we'll bring you back. Okay, how about commentary, pal? Yeah. And then we're like, oh wait, she sucks at commentary. Let's just release her. Like, no, you got like she's got some years left. Like, do something with her. Good Lord.
Kelly and Summer Rae though. Woof, that was bad.
Never going to complain about seeing Kelly again. Summer Rae, I can take or leave. Speaking of which,
here we go. Yes.
Speaking of which, the people in our chat that were bombasting Kelly for saying that she had work done, bro, she was like 18 or 20 when she went to the WWE. She's 35 now. Yeah, people age. Like, that's just something that happens. Okay. So not everything is plastic. Sometimes you got to fill out. Yeah, it happens.
What do you think, Chris? Should they have done a Funkadactyl spot? Should they have just stopped everything? Played the music.
100%. Yeah. Should they have done a Funkadactyl spot? They should have brought in what's his name, Cyrus.
Sir.
They should have came in and tried to reunite them and say we could be a unit together again and do the whole thing, and then have him get dumped back out. Anything to make me give a damn.
Clay, bring him back.
Anything to make me give a damn. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care more. That's the proper way to say it, English major. When she was brought in, I'm like, oh, they're gonna do something with Naomi. Oh no, she's gone.
Right?
Huh? Like what? Huh?
Blown spots.
Yeah, give me the Too Cool dance spot. Give me something.
Yeah. Surprises on Mickie James carrying the belt in, Chris. Any surprises and putting Impact in the graphic? They gave Impact love on a WWE show. That shocked the shit out of me.
I think Vince McMahon doesn't care. I don't think he cares at all. I think that it was like we made it a big deal. Like, are they going to mention Impact on TV? I think Vince is like, to him, this is when ECW invaded in '96, where it was like, oh, that's cute. There's a whole nother thing that people do sometimes. And you know what I mean? He doesn't care.
Yeah,
he doesn't care at all.
It was baked into that deal that she came in. It was like, listen, I want to wear the Impact title. Yeah. I want to have the Impact on my graphic. I want to use my hardcore country theme that I use in Impact. And Vince was probably like, okay, I don't give a shit. Whatever Impact is, that's cool. Yeah. Is that your podcast? What's a podcast? I don't know. So it's just kind of that thing. Sarah Logan coming back. Sarah Logan coming back was cool until she said she was going. A couple days later on Instagram, she said she was going to a boogaloo, and I was like, I don't know what that is, so I had to look it up, and then I found out what a boogaloo was, and I said, oh, never fucking mind.
I don't know how to say this other than she did not look in fighting shape. Let me just put that out there.
She hasn't wrestled in years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so, because I thought Sarah was one of those ones that was gonna be around like Nikki. I thought she was gonna survive like Nikki. I thought she had the potential to really, because she was damn strong and good physical specimen. I thought she was going to keep going. And then when she got let go, got married, all this, so Sarah's clearly moving on with her life, doing other things. But when she came, I was like, why bring her back if she's not gonna she's not a woman in her 40s, for God's sakes, like we saw with Melina and other women who came back in this Rumble. Ivory, what have you. I thought she would acquit herself a little bit better or a little bit differently. Why give the spot if she's not going to come in and like really kind of wreck house? Because if she isn't that far removed from being in the WWE, what was like 5 years ago, maybe less, right?
Can we talk about Lita just for a second?
Sure. Oh,
why? She is freaking phenomenal. It's Lita.
Agreed.
And so over after all these years still.
Yeah.
Her pop on Raw was insane. It's just like, what? Did we underappreciate Lita when she was happening? I know everyone loved her at the time, and Team Extreme and the whole thing. But like, over the years, it feels like the sentiment was, we didn't appreciate how good Trish Stratus actually was in the ring, and she got a lot of love as she would make returns and things like that. And Lita was always just kind of a given. I don't feel like people talk about Lita as like one of the GOATs of female wrestling. Fair. And honestly, she's gotta be. She's unbelievably good and well into her latter years. It's like she looks good enough to have another run, like a full-on run.
They're putting her up against Becky for the belt.
I know.
So
that's what I mean.
Certainly she must have impressed hardcore.
I think sadly, like something that's hung over Lita for wrestling fans is the whole Matt Hardy thing. Like that's held over, which it shouldn't, because like who gives a shit, right? Like that's her private life. Like why do we care about it? And they did make it a storyline, so I guess we kind of had to care about it. But yeah, these women, Lita and Trish, and like Molly Holly gets her due now, and one of my favorite female wrestlers like from that time period was Victoria. And I loved watching Victoria, and then she was gone forever, and then she came back last year, and I was so happy to see her because I always thought she was super good. I always thought she was someone that could have been a great coach. Like I don't know what happened between her and WWE. Apparently, they had some weird falling out that got fixed, but I always thought she was really good too. And to see Lita out there still doing it, they even did the thing, a dark match between Bianca and Becky, where Lita ran Becky into the ring and Bianca beat her in like 2 seconds. So they got payback on it on a dark match, but they did it. So I mean, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I like seeing Lita back. We'll see what happens with her and Becky. I do think Lita's a half a step slower than she used to be. So we'll see how that plays out and how they cover it. But overall, she deserves to have another shot. And Chris, I don't know. I think you're right in that, but people pop for her all the time. But yeah, they don't necessarily talk about her in the same breath as the top greats in that they revere her for what she is, what she did. But it's like Jeff Hardy, right? People love Jeff Hardy, but they're never going to compare him to Stone Cold or to The Rock. I think that's where Lita gets a little bit of unfortunate underappreciation from the fans overall when they look at her.
And there's so many people that you think if you put Lita's name next to theirs, it gets really interesting quick. Like we've never seen Lita versus Sasha. Right. We've never seen Lita versus Bianca Belair.
Right.
Have we seen Lita versus Charlotte? Like there's a lot of good matches that can happen. Like, and more interesting than the Edge return, in my opinion.
Yeah. She could certainly teach Charlotte how to do that Sunset flip better. All right, we've got some Streamlabs that have come through. Let's answer these. Island_boy donated, said, so if Vince eventually got what he wanted to do in the men's Royal Rumble, then what was Shane trying to do apart from putting himself over in the Final Four? Because it's still a bad match, and don't say this guy's name out loud, but is he still in the company? James Storm.
James Storm.
I don't know what that means.
Storm did a spot in NXT once, but he was
one
never,
match.
Yeah.
I don't think they never. I don't think he ever actually signed with WWE.
So maybe this is a quote from James Storm where he's saying, so if Vince eventually got what he wanted to do in the men's Royal Rumble, then what was Shane trying to do apart from putting himself over the Final Four? Because it's still a bad match. And don't say this guy's name out loud, but he's still in the company. So I don't know. I guess James Storm said that. So interesting.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Andrew Russell said, hey, here, John, stop your bitching. Also, Chris rules. There you go. Thank you.
Hey.
Mike H donated, said, are you guys surprised that no NXT stars entered the Rumble? Yeah, valid question. Is this NXT 2.0? They've been promoting it. Why did no NXT wrestlers appear? And no, Aliyah does not count. Appear in the men's and women's Royal Rumble?
No, because why they want to keep NXT separate from the main roster, because last time they didn't, NXT took it over, like literally took it over. So
true.
And it's just not the same anymore. It's back to Farm League, WWE.com exclusive TV to me. You don't want Braun Breaker, your big star, to be mixing it up with, your main talent, unless he's going to win it. And he's not going to win it. So it's not like when Keith Lee did it a couple years ago when it was like him and Brock, and that was fucking awesome, because like Brock's like, ooh, a big boy, and they got to tussle a little bit. Like having Braun Breaker in there against Brock Lesnar right now would look stupid, because then Brock is going to beat up Braun Breaker and throw him over the top, make him look like a little bitch. So you kind of have to, you're saving it up here. Then once we eventually get to a Braun Breaker versus Brock Lesnar, it's going to be awesome, and people are going to be anticipating it because they haven't seen it. Yeah. So it's kind of like a less is more. It more surprised me in the women's Rumble, because I feel like somebody like Raquel could have been better served in the Rumble than a lot of people that were in it. I think you could have made a star in Raquel or Io or somebody like that, putting them in there. So that kind of surprised me more on the women's side than the men's side.
Yeah, fair enough. What about you, Chris?
No, I totally agree with you. I think that at this point, NXT is Florida Championship Wrestling. I think that is, it's a developmental thing. They're bringing, they brought out this, they trotted out all these new wrestlers that none of us knew and didn't give us a reason to care. And, they're like, this is where they're going to develop and then eventually headline WrestleMania, quote unquote. And yeah, exactly, with Braun Breaker, if he's going to lose, there's no point wasting him. It just takes the wilt off the rose. So we're not going to,
I'd love to see Gordon Solly interview Braun Breaker. That would be hilarious. Come in here, McMahon. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Justin Toner says, hey guys, I agree the men's Royal Rumble was a big letdown compared to the women's, which had some good moments. It was boring and not booked well. CM Punk versus MJF, which we are going to get to, was awesome, almost 5 stars. The dusty finish in the middle was the only blemish for me. Let's put a pin in the MJF discussion. Justin will return to it for sure. Luis Enrique de la Pena here left us here. He says, the women's Royal Rumble was more entertaining than the men's, but why Ronda Rousey and Lesnar? They booed him when he eliminated McIntyre and one of the, or maybe one of the Street Profits. Okay. Thoughts, guys?
Because it's too predictable. That's why. I mean, I don't think people are mad that Brock Lesnar necessarily won. I think they're mad because it was predictable. Had they shown something backstage, maybe where let's say Brock Lesnar's backstage, he's fuming about Roman Reigns. Where's Roman Reigns? He's kicking down doors, and somebody's he left the building, and then he sees Riddick Moss and Baron Corbin, look at this guy, and he just beats the shit out of both of them, and then takes their spot in the room. He's like, fine, I'm going to the Rumble then. Okay, well, we've got a story. We've got something going on here that kind of makes sense, other than just well, he's number 30. I guess that was the plan all along. Otherwise, did you not have a number 30? How did that even work? Brock Lesnar was was the champion and in the Rumble. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, they're just doing the Roman thing now. Yeah. So if you give me something, it doesn't have to be much. Just give me a little, and I can deal with it. So
yeah, fair.
That's how I would have done it.
Okay. Chris, anything on that, or we'll move on?
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. Yeah, give me a reason for it happening. Even if Lesnar retained and still entered the Rumble because he wants Roman that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And needs a path to
cool.
facing him at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Something, not just, oh, he lost. Gee, I wonder what's next. And then, like, come on.
That's true, because you're waiting the whole night for that to happen. That's true.
Also, that's the thing that I hate, where it breaks the foundation of pro wrestling, where it's like, so they didn't plan on the 30th entry in the Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Like when they make main events on the day of Raw and SmackDown, it's like, what were you doing? You were just going to go to air and not have a main event? Like, you know what I'm saying? I hate when that very foundational thing is broken.
It's a good point.
Someone, I heard that on a podcast like recently. Like, I never really thought of like Raw and SmackDown that way before. Like, what, did you just not have a plan? Like, you just came in with like an empty booking sheet? And then somebody explained it that way, and I was like, that is really stupid. That makes no sense at all.
We'll figure it out.
Fucking wing this $1 million television show.
Yeah, like what? What are you telling me? What are you kayfabing me here?
With sponsors.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Lesson Sailor says, aloha. I loved the watch along last weekend. Thanks, Sidwa. Very kind of you. Great companion piece to last year's. Keep up the great work. I was sad my Empress did not return, but I know it will be sooner than later. Same for Bailey. Love the shirts, Chris. Have any good Austin shirts? Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts. That's who's asking. Do you have any good ones?
Yeah, you had that one last week. It was pretty great.
Yeah,
the white one. Look at him go.
I got a bunch of Austin shirts. I'll showcase this one.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I loved that shirt.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That was the Invasion shirt, right? The what shirt?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I loved that shirt, man.
Yeah, man. This is that's a gem you don't see a whole lot of, and an underappreciated era of Austin, as far as I'm concerned. I know that we still do the what chants, but comedy Austin,
yeah,
all day,
1,000%,
1,000%. With him and Kurt Angle, Jimmy Crack Corn.
So good,
good
so
stuff.
good.
The little cowboy hat, it was perfect. All right, and Justin Toner, one more, says the Elimination Chamber is stacked. The Elimination Chamber match is stacked. Odds are high Brock wins the belt back to make him versus Roman, title versus title at Mania. Interesting choice to have Ronda versus Charlotte first. I guess they want to save Ronda versus Becky for later. Yeah, I think we should move to that too as a connected thing here. Are we happy with the fact that we're getting Lesnar versus are they setting up Lesnar winning the title here to face Reigns at WrestleMania? And did we like that they kind of did a little swerve here with the fact that we've got now Becky not taking on Ronda, she's taking on Lita, and Ronda's taking on Charlotte at the Elimination Chamber? Are they doing that just to get out of the way so that she can take on Becky? Will this be title versus title as well?
I don't know what the big rush to do title for title is. I don't understand why we're doing that, and why would we put it on Bobby Lashley just to take it right back off of Bobby Lashley? Like, why do we have to do that? So, Lashley, Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and Styles is the Elimination Chamber match. I don't see any point of Brock Lesnar winning it. Like, what's the point? You're just gonna combine the belts? Like, are you gonna do this for everybody? Like, I don't understand. Are you gonna combine the women's titles then? Are you gonna combine the tag titles? I mean, you should, but it doesn't seem like that's the case so far. So, I mean, we were going to have Roman Reigns versus Goldberg as well at Elimination Chamber, so we don't know how that's going to go. What if Brock Lesnar? Here we go. Here's the scenario. What if Brock Lesnar wins the Elimination Chamber, becomes a WWE champion, screws over Roman Reigns, and he loses the Universal title to Bill Goldberg?
Oh God, how dare you!
I sometimes I think that convolution is WWE's version of storytelling. We're going to make this way more complicated than it needs to be. And see, we're telling a story. We're doing long-term booking. No, you're not. You're thinking of it like the week before, and then there's no continuity, and then that's why it's all confusing. Like, of course, there's no reason to take the belt off of Lashley. Of course, there isn't. Which is exactly why it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because what's hilarious is that Vince McMahon has this, he is super into this thing about fans knowing what's coming but then constantly does it. You know what I mean? But then in other instances, tries to swerve it again in the most obvious way.
Yeah.
Like I learned recently, the very reason Vince McMahon doesn't let people win in their hometown is because he thinks that fans know that that's coming. Like they just like expect it to happen. So he goes the other way. Now we know they're not going to win in their hometown. So now that's expected. So it's like sometimes the obvious thing is just the correct thing.
Right.
And, you know, them going head to head for the world title, for the undisputed championship when they both had the belt was just the right thing to do. Do something else with the Rumble. You know what I mean? Yeah. And having one champion is just the right thing to do in all divisions, pretty much. You know, like let them travel. You create new opportunities for people in the different brands to challenge for the world championship. And especially in the case of the women's tag team division, who are the women's tag team champions? Who are they?
It's Carmella and Zelina, right? I think.
Holy cow! That would have took me hours to think about. Like, you know, you can't be the man if someone else is also the man. You know, make the titles more important. Let the world champion travel. If you still got to have a brand split, which I'm in favor of, like, yeah, just do it. No swerve for the sake of swerve. Like, just save time.
There you go. All right, let's move on here. That's all the Streamlabs and Super Chats for now. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's pinned in the chat. It's in the description of this video, and it's right there on the screen above Aaron's head. Send in some support for us as we go move on to this touchy subject here. Aaron, what's next?
Is it touchy? This is where we get into the crazy part of the week. Yeah. So Brian Kendrick, you know, Spanky, former WWE Tag Team Champion, former WWE Champion, if you believe past the record books for a second. He was let go by WWE, or actually he asked for his release. They didn't grant it, then they did grant it. He's been a producer for NXT and doing some stuff on 205 Live. He got his release from WWE, and it was announced this week on Dynamite that he would face Jon Moxley on on AEW Dynamite. So there he is, Brian Kendrick, and everybody was like, okay, cool, Brian Kendrick versus Moxley. That's something I can get down with. And then all of a sudden, some stuff, some past comments of Brian Kendrick's got out. And I don't know how far or how much you guys know about this kind of stuff, but in conspiracy theory land, Brian Kendrick talks about stuff like lizard people and things like maybe the Holocaust wasn't that bad. Yeah. And the Skull and Bone Society, which is, of course, a famous thing made by Alex Jones, if you know that whole thing. So, and then as that kind of started, pressure was mounting against AEW and Tony Khan to be like, let's maybe reevaluate this. Maybe let's not put Kendrick on the show, leading to Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, to respond by saying, we've been made aware of abhorrent and offensive comments made in the past by Brian Kendrick. There's no room in AEW for the views expressed by Brian. We think it's best for all that Brian be pulled from tonight's card as we gather more information. We'll announce a replacement bout as soon as possible. So in the matter of, it feels like a few hours, Brian Kendrick did the old Grandpa Simpson, walked in the door, and then turned around and walked his ass right back out the door. So what are your thoughts on Brian Kendrick here? And did Tony Khan do the right thing?
Well, yes, I think Tony Khan did the right thing. I also think, motherfuckers, stay away from the Holocaust. Stay away from all this shit. Just go get a fucking McDonald's and go watch TV and enjoy some fucking stuff. Like, why do you have to get involved in this nonsense? It doesn't touch you at the fuck all. It drives me insane. I hosted a show yesterday for an hour and a half on Whoopi Goldberg's comments on the Holocaust. I'm like, there is a very well-known thing about this. She's older than I am, so she went through the same school I did and got the same kind of knowledge I did, standard knowledge about the Holocaust. We understand what it is. I don't know why people need to keep bringing it up and try to reevaluate and create this nonsense in their heads. And, a wrestler's going to figure this fucking shit out. Shut the fuck up. Like, just hang out, do your thing, train, get better, and be successful. This whole getting into all this stuff. Like he wrote about Sandy Hook and 9/11 and all this stupid nonsense. It really drives me insane and distracts people from realizing how shitty their lives are and that you can change your shitty life. It is not the 12 elders of Zion who are fucking up your life. It's you. Take responsibility, fix your shit, and go be a better person. That's what it's all about. Stop falling into conspiracy theory holes because it's all bullshit. And so to me, this is where I come to the point of like, well, who was doing the vetting process for the WWE? Because this shit goes back 10, 12 years. So how was he able to escape for years going from company to company with no one bringing this up until now? Because I'm telling you right now, people were pissed off about making people like not talking about the Holocaust correctly and 9/11 10 years ago. So the vetting process to me is what's the real breakdown here. And Brian did apologize. I'm sorry, our new graphic doesn't allow me to share this correctly, but he said, I apologize for all the hurt and embarrassment I've caused with my words. These are not my beliefs and never were beliefs of mine. That's bullshit. And I crossed the line. I spread the most vile comments without thinking of the damage it would cause. I will live with this regret for the rest of my life. I'm truly sorry for the pain I have caused. So nice apology, but still kind of not owning up to your shit by saying these were never your beliefs. You released this shit, so they were logically your beliefs. So that's my thing at the end of the day. I think Tony Khan did the right thing, but I think there should be much more vetting going on of these wrestlers and their points of views with this kind of stuff. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those things like, Lord have mercy. When it comes to all this like conspiracy stuff and all that, you know, if you want to live in a fantasy world, go full fantasy. You want to talk about lizard people and UFOs? Fucking rad. Let's do it all day long. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the fucking dinosaur overlords. Once you start getting into things that are happening in the real world and affecting people and like for generations, you know what I mean, of suffering, like to your point, John, shut the fuck, like as much as you possibly can, shut the fuck up. Like if no one cares what you think, first of all. Secondly, like there's no way that you're going to come off more informed than those who've like had to live it, experience it, and deal with it throughout their families and their own personal lives. So just stop, just fucking stop. And then as far as the way that it was handled by Tony, Tony absolutely did the right thing. Like when you're sort of blindsided by, oh my God, I might be dealing with a Looney Tune in my company. Let me reevaluate before I put him on national television. Meanwhile, you know, WWE, you know, another Simpsons reference, it feels like things happen and then they just go, okay, there's that. Now let's never speak of it again. And then as you know, as long as there's no fire, you know, that's brought up because of it, they just let it ride. They just absolutely let it ride. And I think that they've tried to do that in the past with, you know, a lot of like sexual assault allegations, a lot of like steroid use and things like that. As long as no one kicks up any shit, they'll just ignore it. They'll just absolutely ignore it. It's not until the controversy gets to a boiling point that they ever actually have to make moves. And so I hate that that's a sort of statute of WWE and the way that they deal with things. They should be way more proactive. Kudos to Tony for doing that. And 100% right. I think this comes to that lack of diversity thing that people talk about. I know a lot of people in the head office of WWE, there's hardly any diversity there. So when they see red flags, it's just kind of like, no big deal. That's why you need those different perspectives to say, look, man, this is not okay. This is going to cause a lot more problems than it's worth. So like, let's dump it. Like how many times do we need a Jackson Riker, a Braun Strowman to slip through the cracks? Like enough already.
Yeah. And even more so, I mean, like, it's not just having diversity in your office, it's listening and acting on the suggestion and advice from the people who are who are the diverse members of your office. It isn't enough just to have diverse people in office. You got to listen. I think that's the next step here into 2022 for any company. You've got to listen to the diverse people telling you when you're a 20 all white group and there's 2 people of color and they're like, this is stupid. And I'll tell you why. You got to listen. Aaron, what do you think about this? I mean, isn't Bobby Fish kind of an anti-vax? Isn't he kind of troublesome in AEW as well? Some of his points of view. So where is the line being drawn here?
I mean, they have Brian Cage still in their locker room, but it's just like
fair.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Chris said. There are fun things out there. Like, you know what's fun? Like the theory that Anna and Elsa's parents got shipwrecked on the way to the Little Mermaid's wedding, and that's the shipwreck that you find in the movie. That's fun. That's a fun theory. I like that. I could get down with that. Like, that's okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what's not cool? Saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. Like, that's just like completely fucking ridiculous.
Or Sandy Hook was all actors.
And Ronda Rousey made comments about that. Let's not front. I mean, there's people. I mean, we could go through them. I mean, Raquel. There's a reason they call Raquel Gonzalez Kayla Rittenhouse in some circles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I didn't know that.
Karrion Kross. I mean, Sasha Banks is anti-vax for a long time. Don't know if she still is.
But anti-vax is, I can understand.
It's different.
The Holocaust thing is where I kind of
I didn't mean to lump them in there. And I'm sure Brian is apologetic, but I'm also sure that somewhere in WWE somebody was like, "You want your release? Okay, pal. Let's see what happens." And then someone at WWE is like, "Why don't you repost that crazy shit that Kendrick said in like 2010 just to fuck with him?" Just see what happens. And then
it's another version of the garbage bag they gave Mickey James.
Exactly. They gave him his own. They gave him his own rope to hang himself. But anyway, it's just like there's no room for it anywhere. I don't need to say anything else on it. I mean, obviously, it's crazy. Like it is like people like that. I just immediately dismiss. Like Kyrie Irving, like great basketball player. Oh, the Earth is flat. Okay, you're fucking stupid. Let's move on. And we'll go ahead and just. Anything you say now is just completely absurd. I don't get into that. So that's how I deal with it, I think. But once you cross the line of, flat, saying the Earth is flat, I don't think harms anybody. But when you say that the Holocaust didn't happen, that really harms a lot of people. So, or Sandy Hook or Pulse down here in Orlando, like that. Oh, that didn't happen. It was a false flag. That's a popular thing to say. Like when you say shit like that genuinely affects people's lives. Like I don't think Buzz Aldrin hears, "Oh, the Earth is flat," and he's like, "Oh, fuck you. I went to the moon. I saw it." Like I don't think he cares. So it's kind of like, AJ Styles, flat earther too. So it doesn't annoy me that they're like that. I just go, that's really stupid.
I watched the Aziz Ansari stand up last night, the 30-minute stand up that's on Netflix, and he has that sequence when he's talking about Aaron Rodgers and Fauci. Ladies and gentlemen, watch that sequence. Just watch that sequence. It's 4 minutes, and it broke it down so brilliantly. Just saying, like, did you really think the high school quarterback was going to figure out the science test? Like, you're making fun. So that's why the anti-vax thing. I can understand that, and we got a story coming up. I can understand that. It's when you start going after shit like Sandy Hook or 9/11, all that, like as the loose change documentary, all that nonsense. You're figuring it out. It's just stupid. And it drives me insane. There's no way a pro wrestler is cracking the fucking case. No offense. So just crazy. Just focus on getting better, man. Focus on learning promos. Focus on getting over with the audience. Focus on getting your merch right. That's what you should be focusing on. Those hours you're spending deep diving into crazy YouTube holes, you could be getting better at promos, getting better at how to create your character, getting better doing all that kind of nonsense. So just a suggestion for anybody. All right, let's see. Do we have any more? Okay, Xavier Black Wiley sent in a super chat here for us to take a look at. Sorry, let me go all the way back here. He said, I hated that Ronda won the Royal Rumble, even though I knew it was coming the minute she walked out on the ramp just to set up for Mania. Okay, Xavier, I think we
that's
talked
pretty
about
much it. You pretty much nailed it there.
That's true. All right, let's see, Aaron. Let's move on to our next thing, and we'll see what happens with Kendrick. Because I think, is he let go, or is he still under contract, or is he now a free agent?
He's gone, free agent, man.
All right.
But you know what happens also when you get too into conspiracy theories? Insurrections. But we'll move on from there.
You mean legitimate political discourse? Anyway, let's move on.
Let's move on. So in democratic practices, let's move on. So Nia Jax this week. This is a late edition because Nia Jax came in hot this week. She was on the oral sessions with Renee Paquette, the former Renee Young, where they talked about a multitude of things. She talked about being released from WWE, which of course people wanted to hear about. Right. And then towards the end, she kind of said that, maybe probably one of the reasons I was let go is I didn't get the COVID vaccine. So it's like, okay, well, we kind of figured that. And then later on Twitter, I didn't have the tweet ready, but like there was a tweet that someone had pretty much given her the statistics on COVID vaccine efficacy and how it works and everything. And she did not take kindly to that. She said something to the I can't. Do you have it pulled up? Because now
she said, she said, ha ha ha, to the person. I stand by that too, honey. If you really think that all your favorites don't feel the same as I do, you're sadly mistaken. I know a lot of people in many professional sports that just paid and got a real card from a doctor. So is what she was saying.
Gotcha.
To somebody, because somebody posted, I think it was Pinnacle SZN posted the COVID vaccine is 90% effective after 8 months of development. Or she posted this. The COVID vaccine is 90% effective after 8 months of development, when the flu vaccine is 40% effective after 7 years of development. I'll go with my immune system as it's 99.9% effective. This is maybe the dumbest reasoning I've ever heard in my life. But yeah.
This all stemmed also from she also said that she took offense to fans saying that she was unsafe and reckless in the ring.
Yeah.
To which I said Kairi Sane would like a word. I mean, it's just there are people that we've seen this with Kairi Sane.
Becky's nose would like a word.
Exactly. Yeah. Becky Lynch, Deonna Purrazzo, Dana Brooke, and even Sasha Banks.
Yeah, Sasha Banks.
She's just kind of she's just really gone off the deep end here. I understand that, but now I believe what the term is dry snitching. She is dry snitching about felonies. That's a felony, man. Getting fake vaccine cards. So yeah. I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know who she's talking about. But that's interesting. Could we have a problem on our hands, or is this just going to go away and die? I mean, these aren't idle threats. This isn't this person didn't get the vaccine and they're still in the company. That's one thing, but to say you have a fake vaccine card when you're traveling around the country and you're on airplanes and you're doing all this kind of stuff, this is a big fucking problem. What do you think about these comments, man? Yeah, Chris, what do you think here?
I mean, Nia, man, I wanted to like Nia so bad.
Right?
She checks all the boxes for me, woman of color, plus size, mama, I wanted to like her so much, part of the Samoan dynasty family, the whole thing. And she just keeps winning the award for most unlikable person. Right. With every new comment that she makes, it is just, we are already in the era of people who sat in the back of the classroom all of a sudden coming to the front when it's time for PhD level research, to be looked at.
Yeah.
But already it's and now you're purporting that all these people are doing something illegal. You know what I mean? It's just oh God.
Yeah.
Nia, politely, fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Just go away. Please go away. If you're not going to come back to wrestling, we don't want you, anyway. Everyone, your trail of bodies that you left behind you, and your run, Becky's bloody face and just all the things that you've done. Just shut up. Go away. I'm done with you, Nia. I'm done with you.
Yeah, her tweets here, Chris, Aaron as well. There's a support group starting for all the trolls who want to give me their opinion. It's called, quote, "Eat shit, you loser, and get a life." And he even tags this guy, Stephen MK is starting it. Please contact him to be included. It's exclusive group, so spots will fill up quick. And this is all a response to all this stuff going on with the accusations of her hurting people. She put some picture up of her and Ron, the Truth Killings, having a hug when he was one of the people that she was accused of hurting. And there's oh, I guess I must have really hurt you. That's why we're laughing and hugging afterwards. And then she kind of went after people damn, Adam, you got me. I bet you're in such a better place in life and you're coming here to dunk on me because you're a god. Kudos to you. Kick rocks, you loser. Let me tell you something. As someone who's been somewhat on this kind of other side of it, I have had to learn that these people want a reaction. So if you give in to the reaction, you don't look good. You don't look good. And it's a hard lesson to learn. And I still every once in a while need to learn it when people have 100 followers or 20 followers and you're blasting out their tweet. And I see people with millions of followers blasting out a tweet from a person with 10 followers. And it's because they have an agenda and they want to smash this person and use that to advance an agenda. And I think here with Nia, there's an incredible amount of sensitivity about her time in there, and certainly the allegations of her hurting people is going to follow her for the rest of her career. That's something you don't get rid of, no matter how many matches you wrestle that are successful. That's something, and plus this whole thing, like this, there's just this anger and bitterness about how this all went down. Plus, she's had mental health issues that she struggled with. So it's quite a cocktail of things that you've got here with Nia, and she's fighting back. She's defensive. She's lashing out at people, and that's a dangerous path to walk because there is no positive ending to that. You've got to kind of let all that shit go. People are always going to hate you or support you. It's your choice to listen to the negative voices or the positive voices. And I would encourage her to listen to the more positive voices so she can figure out what she's going to do with the rest of her life. And who gives a shit what the negative voices say? Because you've already accomplished more than anything they're going to accomplish with what they're striving to do. So just accept that fact, let it go, and move on to something else. But and Aaron brings up an excellent point. Her outing people on felonies, man, that's a bad look. That's a bad fucking look. That's bitterness, you know.
And on top of that, like there's also, and this is just a rumor that just kind of got put out there by the person who said it, that Adam Scherr, aka Braun Strowman, may or may not have had sexual relations with Nia Jax's mother while his girlfriend Raquel Gonzalez was watching. That is just something that he put out there.
What he put out there?
He put that out there. I don't know if he was joking. I don't know what happened, but
where would you find that joke? What context would that joke work?
People, I don't know, but people ran with it, and yeah, that could be a thing. Which I don't know what WWE's wrestlers go wild. I don't know what in the world.
I thought the Page freaking Xavier Woods was the greatest triple threat match that we'd ever seen in wrestling, but I think we got a new champion.
Might have to put this in the Elimination Chamber, but it's just
a monster among moms. Yikes!
Oh God! But yeah, so that's a thing. Like I think, and I'm going to say this in a sense of career. Like Murata even says it. Doudrop / Piper Niven is such a better wrestler than Nia Jax was.
Oh yeah,
I mean size wise, like
yep.
Absolutely. But also, like, I kind of feel bad for Nia Jax. Like, she got screwed in that body shaming storyline they did with Alexa Bliss. Like, that really sucked.
Yeah.
And then they gave her the title at WrestleMania, which she shouldn't have won anyway. Then they took it right off of her and gave it back to Alexa. And it's like, she never recovered from that at all. So if she didn't have a chance there, she was never going to have a chance. It does sound like sour grapes. And then again, it also sounds like a lot of idiocy. So
yeah, no doubt. I think Chris says about it. I think all of us would like to have liked her, would like to have been in support of her, but there's just too much here to ignore. There's just too much to ignore. So sadly, that's the situation. All right. Anything else we want to jump? Oh, wait. Someone sent in a super chat here. Chris Taylor said, "Hey, Turner, can we get Buzz Aldrin cutting a promo on a Martian?" There you go. He was the request.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do that like right off the cuff. I can be like, "Let me tell you something, brother. I'm here. This is NASA, and I don't like your kind." No, that's no. We're getting into racist territory. I don't get back to me on that. Like I know you put in $5. Just put in something else, and I'll answer that one. I can't really do that off the cuff. But Senior Nerd in the chat did say, "Pardon me," about. I assume it's about the Braun Strowman thing. Understandable.
Yikes. All right. What are we on to next year, man? We're wrapping up the show here with this last item.
I kind of blew everybody's mind with that last thing, but So we're talking about AEW Dynamite, and they actually did it. CM Punk and MJF. So we'll talk about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
John Moxley defeated Wheeler Yuta in a matchup. Wheeler was, of course, subbing for Brian Kendrick, who we mentioned earlier. And then they went on to have a interesting discourse with Bryan Danielson. We'll put it that way. Malachi Black and Brody King defeated Pac and Penta L0M, or whatever his name is this week. Nyla Rose defeated Ruby Soho. Hangman Adam Page calls out Lance Archer, takes an ass whooping, and then Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert get into it, which calls out allows Paige Van Zant to come out of the back and get in Brandy's face. Thank you very much. Yeah. And MJF defeated CM Punk in the middle of the ring in Chicago, albeit a little bit of shenanigans, but it was on free TV. So what do you think about the old AEW Dynamite this week, guys?
All I'll say is real quick, I thought Dynamite was fun. I enjoyed it. I was really shocked by the Ruby Rose loss. I thought they were going to make that a draw and somehow or DQ or something like that. And having her take the loss, I think we're starting to see Ruby start to move down, Ruby Soho move down a little bit in the pecking order here with women's. Nyla Rose, Nyla Rose was there to be beat, and talk about another woman of size who can wrestle and use her body correctly, as we talked about Nia Jax, at least better than Nia Jax, that's for damn sure.
Okay.
So yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. But the MJF thing, that was done really well. Wardlow, by the way, Wardlow is not getting enough recognition for the work he's doing emotionally in the vignettes that are playing out inside and outside the ring with him and MJF. You can tell that he's conflicted. You can tell it works. It's not overdone. Like, we might say Ruby Soho being shocked at a 2 count. Like, it's not overdone in that moment. It's really, and him tossing the ring and all, and he's not even happy for MJF. He's just kind of like, I got to see out this contract that I've got here, blah, blah, blah. So it worked. And the fact that CM Punk was cool with putting MJF over in Chicago in this loss. Yeah, shenanigans, but still put him over. I have to think that's why MJF laid on top of him as long as he did, was he was whispering thank you into his ear, like The Rock did for Austin. That's in that situation years ago. So I feel like he was doing that because Punk putting him over, it's a big sign of approval there. And even Shivani said it was MJF's greatest victory ever in AEW, looking with Jericho sitting right by his side saying that. So what did you think, Chris, about AEW Dynamite, specifically MJF and Punk?
I thought it was a great show. I don't understand why the ratings were so low this week on the show. It's just kind of a baffling situation. But yeah, man. Aside from the Lambert Brandy Road stuff, which was so cringe-inducing, the show overall I thought was super great. I really liked the House of Black match. I really enjoyed what was some of the earlier stuff too. Oh, the Danielson Mox thing. Oh yeah, super intriguing. Not where I thought they were going. I thought they were like putting a feud together between the two of them, but now being like kind of a former WWE main eventer guy stable, could be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Because nothing about what Bryan Danielson said to Mox was incorrect. You know what I mean? Like that was, and that's my favorite kind of heel who has a point to what they're trying to do. Very Magneto-like. But as far as MJF Punk specifically, such a perfect call, the right call. Like we had talked about it before about like, well, how do we make sure that everyone benefits from the conclusion of this feud? And to see the stunned look and the lack of sound from the audience in Chicago after seeing Punk beaten, it was just perfect. Imagine MJF's heat when we see him again. Like it's just going to be beautiful. And then Punk doesn't lose anything. We continue the Wardlow MJF story perfectly. There's no, like I said, there's no shine off of CM Punk. It wasn't as though he just got beat clean 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. It took several shenanigans to make it happen, but just the right effing call. Loved it. Masterpiece. Totally.
Okay. Aaron, thoughts on that match?
I think where we need to go with this is that MJF comes out, he gets booed mercilessly and all that kind of stuff. And then him and CM Punk spar again. And MJF's like, or CM Punk's like, you won nefariously. I want you one-on-one in a cage or some gimmick bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then MJF says, I don't think so, because I already beat you. What do I have to prove?
Right. And
then we eventually do get the match at a pay-per-view, which I guess it should have been, but, I'll let it go since it was so good. Because you shouldn't give it away on free TV. But I think that's that's just an old adage, right? They gave away Goldberg's title win on free TV. They never should have done that. But anyway, not like it hurt him. But I think that's where we go with it. We get a cage match or something like that. I think that MJF maybe comes out and says something like, I beat CM Punk in his hometown. I feel like I should get a world title shot. Oh, Hangman Page is hanging out with Lance Archer. Oh, wait, I'll take the day off. And he just keeps doing this stuff like where I did this, I'll take the day off. And he's such a dick that he doesn't even wrestle anymore because he doesn't have to. And then he just says, well, you have to wrestle tonight. Like, Wardlow will beat their ass. And then eventually maybe Wardlow becomes the number one contender. I don't know, something like that. They're gonna fuse it all in somehow, and it works. And I like that. As for the rest of the show, like Nyla Rose beating Ruby Soho, man, like I know I dig on Ruby Soho, but God, she missed that spin kick off of the top rope, and that was like, oh God, here we go.
Yep.
And I think sometimes in matches, like sometimes if you hit something impactful and it looks good, even if it's not the finish, it needs to be the finish. And I think that's what happened in that match. Like Nyla Rose hit her with a fucking awesome power bomb. It was just like, well, we can't really do much better than this, so let's go ahead and go home. Like, if we can jump ahead to Rampage for just a second, like that Jay Lethal Ricky Starks finish, I don't think was the planned finish. The handspring into like the what they call it, the stark contrast, whatever he calls it. I don't think that was the planned finish. I think it just happened to work that way. They're like, fuck it, it works. Like it was so cool. So shout out to Ricky Starks. He should be on Dynamite way more. But overall, I thought AEW was pretty good to have shit ratings, like their worst one since going to TBS, which is really a shame. And I'll tell you this, like putting Brandy Rhodes on television against Dan Lambert with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page is not going to do you any favors. Because people want to see Dan Lambert's a heel, and Brandy's kind of, I guess, supposed to be the babyface, but nobody wants her to be the babyface because everybody hates her. Yeah. And then Paige Van Zant comes out, and people are excited to see her, but they don't want to see her with Dan Lambert because he sucks. So it's kind of like, I don't know even what we're doing with this crap.
I'm going to tell you my honest feeling on this, and people get mad if they want. If they want, you can call me ageist if you want. Give a fuck. Get rid of the dinosaurs. I'm tired of seeing the dinosaurs. I love Jake the Snake. Great documentary. So happy DDP helped him out and he's alive. Didn't take his own life. I don't want to see you on the mic anymore, pal. You cut off Adam Hangman Page. By the way, the Adam Hangman Page is a whole nother conversation that he has to call out people to fight him.
He's dead.
That
He's
is
dead.
Fucking ridiculous. You are the champion. He even said it. I've been waiting 81 days. And it's like, holy shit. Like, this is mind-blowing to think of. He's got to call out an opponent. That is horrific. But having Lambert come out, who's just been nothing but absolute of a dud being a part of AEW, and then throwing Jake the Snake, like those dinosaurs, Tully, Arn, all of them, get them the fuck out, put them back in the back, let them coach, let them train, but do not put them on TV anymore. I think people don't want to see that shit. I think people want the guys and the girls who are fucking currently wrestling and doing their thing, managers that are around the same age. I know you call it ageist, but enough already with that dinosaur shit. The AEW, the only guy who's old, WWE, the only guy who's old roaming around out there is Paul Heyman. That's it. And it's because he can still do the goddamn job. Everybody else is pretty much around that age and doing their thing. So to me, this makes no sense what the AEW is doing. At some point, they got to cut the fat, and those old people are the fat, and enough is enough already. Let's go past this kind of crap because it's not working. It just made me crazy, to be honest with you. Lambert hitting Hangman Page with a fucking chair. I was like, this is stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I gave my opinions on Lambert last time. Again, just fucking embrace the heat and bring in Cornette if it's going to be that. Like, it's just,
right.
Lambert brings nothing. First of all, I didn't even really know who the hell he was when he showed up in AEW. I was just like, who is this guy? Why do I care?
MMA legend. I've never heard of this motherfucker.
Hey, he created American Top Team.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what a horrible, unless it's going to, the only time America's Top Team even works as a name, if you got like a shit heel like Kurt Angle, who they think that they're heroes, but they're not, kind of thing, in charge of it. But yeah, man, if to your whole point about those guys being still around, there's got to be something meaningful to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I thought we were heading there when they had the whole, Tully calling out Sting and how it's always been about you and me. And I was kind of like, it was kind of more about Flair and Sting. But, whatever. You know what I mean? At least there's history there. And then there's some sort of story, that you can build on. And that this is the new generation of Horseman versus Sting or whatever.
Right.
Make us do something. But, even Sting right now, it's like him doing the father-son thing with Darby. It's like, give Sting a story. What's the story? There's a story. I get it. They're legends, but they need a story, and they need to add a dimension to the younger characters that otherwise wouldn't be there. Not just someone to stand next to for name recognition.
I'm not mentioning, by the way, people are coming at me. I didn't mention Sting because Sting is wrestling. That's a difference. There's a difference. Sting wrestles. I don't put him in the same camp. Is he too long? And is Chris making a great point? Yes, absolutely. But I don't put Sting in the same camp as Jake the Snake, for fuck's sake. I don't. That's not the same camp to me, in my opinion, because he's still currently actively wrestling. Is the difference?
Yeah. 100%. And there's a lot of entertaining things to be done with a lot of these personalities. Just like I just want it to be meaningful. And side note, why have we had Sting versus Jericho? That's never happened before.
Oh yeah. That's a fair point. You could
because Sting's not on top right now, so Jericho can't steal his thunder. I'll try to, but I mean, let's be honest. Like this whole MJF thing. Like, let's go back to that for a second.
Yeah,
MJF came into AEW super hot, got the match with Moxley, like it was a big deal, and then Jericho fucking latched himself onto him and killed him for like a year and a half. Just it felt like he wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And now people finally realize how good MJF is and how much we don't need Chris Jericho. Now, I do need that Chris Jericho Sting match. I think that would be cool. I think that's like a WCW kind of legacy match. In that. And also, like you were talking about getting the old goats out of there. I think that one person, and the people in the chat are saying it, and I'm with them on this, Taz. Taz works. I think Taz works because Taz.
Because Taz is still somewhat relatively around that age, man.
Yeah. And Taz has always been a guy that can talk. Like,
yes.
Like, even though Taz is like, hasn't wrestled in years, probably 20 years, you kind of still like feel like Taz could probably whoop the shit out of you, like if he really wanted to.
I wouldn't say shit to Taz.
Yeah. Exactly. He'd probably drop you on your fucking head. So like that works for Taz, and I like Taz. I always have.
Yeah.
So I think they should get, like, if they're going to move JR out of commentary eventually, which they will, then it should be Excalibur and Taz on commentary, because Taz is good if he wants to do it. I'm also going to need you to put some respect on American Top Team, because I need to go through some fighters real quick. American Top Team consists of Tyron Woodley, UFC champion.
Wait.
No, I'm not done.
Right,
Joanna Jędrzejczyk, former UFC champion. Jorge Masvidal.
I'm going to eat some pudding while you do this.
Cole Miller, Glover Teixeira, current champion, light heavyweight champion. Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
Thiago Alves, Douglas Lima, Mike Brown, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. You know, this guy named Bobby Lashley, Andre Arlovsky, Thiago Santos. I need you to put some respect on American Top Team, okay? And Dan Lambert, I mean, he's just a big wrestling fan that happened to finance American Top Team. I know it's not MMA, but I'm trying to bridge the gap between the two because they're more similar than you think in terms of presentation. So
who doesn't think they're not similar? Ronda Rousey's
a lot of people do. A lot of people don't think that the UFC contingent of fans, like the MMA contingent of fans and the wrestling fans, do not mesh. There's not a lot of crossover there because MMA is real and wrestling is fake. We only got fake shit. But the presentation of MMA in the presentation of WWE is not different. UFC wishes they had the presentation and the pageantry of the WWE. They fucking try every time.
Right.
And it works a lot. But UFC not as popular as it used to be. And it's just not the same. So sorry.
Oh, you feel better now?
I do, because I love both, and I hate that, like, you can't agree. Like, you can't find two people that agree with, like, that like both. It's like,
I don't think I'd have a problem if I think Chris and I wouldn't have had a problem if Dan Lambert actually worked on the mic, and he's terrible on the mic. He's terrible in his spots. He's terrible when he comes out there. He's not in any way intimidating anybody with a leather jacket from 1945 and the fucking jeans from 1976 and the gut. It doesn't intimidate anybody. No. Do I think he can put me on my ass and kill me? Yes, I do, but it doesn't intimidate. The look of it doesn't intimidate. Neither does Jake, for God's sake. So to me, it's just like, Dad, what are you doing now? You know, it's just that kind of thing, you know?
Let me ask this, and I got to see Chris's response to this first.
Sure.
If by some wacko chance they got Corny to come in to AEW for something,
awesome,
who gets more heat, Corny or MJF?
Ooh. Corny all day, and if you add them together,
you
got magic. You got magic. I mean, look, if you know why Lesnar and like Ronda work in WWE, because they use the shooter angle to bring them to the main event.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no one can fuck with these dudes.
Yeah.
No one's going to dispute that no one can fuck with them. And so we're going to push them right to the top. So you have this stable of absolute animals, you know, that are in the mid card. and lose a lot. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it just doesn't work. Again, it breaks the whole foundation of what we're looking at. And that's why it's just lambasted the way it is. And I wasn't even trying to make a fucking pun to Lambert right now.
It
but
works.
He is damn lambast right now. It's just like, it's nothing's happening for me. It's not, no one's connecting with it. It's not, we're not having any fun. You know what I mean? Hook looks like a more of a shooter than anyone in America's top team right now. And that is sad.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's end by talking about the Hangman Page real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Are we surprised? How big? How come it's not a bigger news story? How big they're dropping the ball? How colossally incompetent they're being in this Hangman Adam Page situation. I mean, it feels like the drive to get to the title was the real showpiece of this. Ever since he won the title, he's almost become invisible. So how could they fuck this up? Like, what's going on behind the scenes to mess this up? Why is Danielson in a feud with someone else and not with, why didn't you just keep this thing going for a while? It's shocking.
I mean, his name has been invoked a lot, but Cornette called this. AEW has much bigger fish to fry than Adam Hangman Page. We get it that was the storyline, he's got to be the one to beat Kenny. Yeah, but look, in the meantime, you hired CM Punk. You hired Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt is somewhere out there in the ether. There's their talk of this forbidden door that's going to open next week. Like, you can't expect me to care that much about Adam Page and his journey when these huge distractions are now a part of your company. And he was destined to be lost in the shuffle when they didn't pivot, to focusing on those guys. And look, Danielson versus Page was masterful.
Yeah.
And I think we really enjoyed it. But there's just such a difference in levels when dealing with legit superstars who have drawn money for years and years and years at the top of the card, and this guy that you're trying to build. It's so difficult to get him, the attention that he needs in this situation. And I just think that's what they're suffering from, because every week their first priority.
Yeah. No one's clamoring for Archer versus Hangman Page.
No.
Aaron, what do you think here, man?
I'm a big Hangman and Page guy. I interviewed him the first day of AEW at the presser. He was so happy, so glad, like so full of life, and just a great guy. Excellent dude. He made a big fan of me that day just by his demeanor and his actions and how nice he was. However, like Chris said, like Cornette said, we've talked about this, John.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the top of the card, you've got to serve too many masters. You've got Punk, Danielson. Now you got MJF emerging.
Yes.
Wardlow. You've got all these people, Cody, the Bucks, and Omega's out. You got Pac, Penta, like all these people. In a way, sort of, are kind of like overshadowing Hangman Adam Page. And like, that's no fault of his own, but people are just doing other shit. Cause it's like, okay, well, Danielson and Moxley are in a thing. So like they're paired off. MJF and Punk are in a thing. So they're kind of paired off. Cody's gone doing something. So we can't really do anything with him. Kenny's hurt. So we can't really do anything with him. Adam Cole's fucking around with Orange Cassidy. So we can't really do anything with him.
Yeah.
So why is there no meat on the bone for Hangman Adam Page? Like, he's your world champion, and it's great that he is the world champion, and that's cool and all. But it's like, is he the world champion? The thing that I cannot believe that I'm going to say, not that I'm like I don't hate this guy, but I'm not like the biggest fan, is like, dude, I miss Kenny. Like, I miss Kenny Omega, because at least when Kenny was on TV as the champion, whether you liked what he was saying or you hated what he was saying or you liked his matches or you didn't like his matches, he's entertaining as hell. To watch, to go out there, even
Jake,
though
he wouldn't allow Jake the Snake to cut him off. He would absolutely steamroll Jake. Yeah.
And this whole like no rematch thing with AEW is like, come on. Like, they put more emphasis right now on the TNT title than they do the AEW World title. And that's what you don't want. You do not want that. It is a mid-card title. I don't care how many times Cody Rhodes says that it isn't. It is. It's a mid-card title because it's not the world title.
Right.
So you need to put emphasis on your world title and your world champion. Let's let it play out. to see what happens with Archer and see where they go from here. Hopefully we get to Adam Cole. That's where I'm hoping we get next.
Yeah, we got to get to that at some point. And the thing is, and I get what people are saying, like, what you guys said. Yeah, it's fair. Like all these other wrestlers have come in and they didn't pivot to hang. But the way you avoid that is to book him with some of those wrestlers coming in, book him with get him into these programs and get him to fight different styles, showcase him. And I think you bring him an excellent point that didn't occur to me, Aaron. He doesn't wow on the mic the way Kenny Omega does. Kenny Omega couldn't wrestle for 6 months and still be at the top of people's minds because of his promos. That's how good MJF is the same way. When he wrestled like less than double digits last year, and it's because his promos, his vignettes, all the stuff he does, it carries weight. If Hangman Adam Page could do that in some way, and maybe we've seen the limits of Adam Hangman Page, which is this is not a bad thing. Some people are better pursuing the title than they are having the title, right? Yes. Some things are just better, and WWE certainly made a cash cow out of that particular storyline for decades. You've got to find the guys or the girls who are gonna like constantly be let down, like Sasha. Sasha constantly won it and then dropped it, won it, dropped it, won it, dropped it. People were so frustrated. Then eventually they gave her an extended run, and that sent her into the stratosphere. And so these are the things that we're seeing at some point. And Hangman Adam Page, hopefully learning the lessons. This won't be the last time he has the belt because he is going to lose that thing. And so hopefully he's learning the lessons, figuring this thing out. But I do think the blame has to be put on these bookers who didn't think ahead, and just having a champion and not giving him anyone to fight is such a massive mistake and a disservice to Adam Hangman Page. As you're saying, Chris or Aaron, serving multiple masters here with all these other wrestlers, you could have carved something out to put him in, to put someone in with him, to have this. Is Miro hurt? Where the fuck is Miro?
He is hurt. So he's hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Find somebody.
I would have used him instead of Archer as well. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that would have been great.
There you go. All right, let's see here. Emperor 1980 says on Wednesday, AEW said the Forbidden Door will open with their new hires. It's kind of dumb. How is it the Forbidden Door? Guys, you've got to look at your fucking syntax when you're writing this shit. I appreciate the donations, but I'm having struggling here. On Wednesday, AEW said the Forbidden Door will open with their new hired. It kind of dumb. How is it the Forbidden Door? They was fired. How am I supposed to make sense of that? But what do you guys think this person is trying to say here, Empire?
I think they're trying to say that, like, who's going to, like, Tony Khan said the Forbidden Door is going to be open again, and they're going to hire somebody for Dynamite. I think it's Dynamite that they're having Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party versus a mystery opponent for a TNT title tournament or something.
Yeah.
Smart money is on Keith Lee. I think a lot of people think Keith Lee is coming over.
Okay.
So it could be him. I mean, there's a lot of people that it could be. I mean, there's a lot of people eligible.
Yeah.
I would say in ranking wise of who it could be, my number one pick would be Keith Lee. Number 2 would be Josh Alexander coming over from Impact. And number 3 would be Karrion Kross. But I don't think that Kross is going to be an AEW. Yeah. So I'm going with Keith Lee. Will show up on Wednesday.
Black Star Afro 2 says, I think they dropped the ball with the Bullet Club reunion and using the Forbidden Door. I think if AEW gets Finn Balor, they could make it work.
I think that's the very reason that Finn Balor is still around on WWE's payroll. They keep saying that they have use for him. He requested to go to NXT UK, and they were like, no, we need you around. And then they had him fall off of the top rope as the demon, and he's languished ever since. So
yeah,
I think they don't want him. I don't think they want the return of Prince Devitt in AEW, and he can go head to head with Adam Cole and Kenny Omega. No. That would hurt. That would sting.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron?
Daniel Price says, sure, Keith Lee in a ladder match. You sure about that? Well, you can't climb a ladder if someone beats the shit out of you. So if Keith Lee beats the shit out of Isaiah Cassidy, sure, he can climb a ladder. Why not?
And that's an agile body, that big man.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I think that's part of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the question? I got lost there for a second.
It's just
they dropped the ball to the Bullet Club.
Yeah,
to me, I don't know a lot about the Bullet Club. I know that Fergal Devitt and AJ Styles did the thing, but to me, the Bullet Club doesn't exist in my aura of wrestling. So I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. How crazy, Empire fan says, how crazy would it be if AEW's new hire was Shane McMahon? And he says, screw my father, it would be crazy. Sorry, John, I'm at work. Try not to get caught. LOL. I get it, Empire fan. I get it. You can still proofread while you're at work, brother, man. You can still proofread. So What do you guys think? Do you think they'd hire? I mean, Shane would not go to AEW, although it would be fucking awesome. I don't think he would go to AEW.
Would it be awesome? It's one of those things of like the shock. You know what I mean? Would be like, holy shit, it's Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but now what? Now what are we gonna do? I don't really want him wrestling in here. But
Chris would be like this. Holy shit, it's Shane McMahon, and then holy shit, it's Shane McMahon.
Absolutely. And AEW has let us down before. Like, when it's like, oh, the casino or whatever, the ladder match thing that they was like a surprise entry, and it was like, who was it even? It was some
It was Ego Page, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it was like Ethan Page, and it was like, with all the free agents, Ethan Page, that's who we want. So they've let us down before, and then even the Christian debut kind of fell a little flat a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to have my hopes up too high on who this Forbidden Door situation is, but Keith Lee would be a step in the right direction.
Agreed.
Shane O'Mac 2001 in AEW, sign me the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Shane Brandon McMahon in 2022 with his gray hair and his red puffy face. No, thank you. Don't care. A lot of sweat on that guy. Yeah.
2001 Shane McMahon versus Kenny Omega would be incredible.
No, I don't even mean as like a wrestler. I just mean as like a
45 minute
like a
match.
Backstage guy or a GM kind of person. Chris Taylor says Bullet Club Twitter is after me. I didn't disrespect Bullet Club Twitter. I just said it doesn't exist in my wrestling universe. I don't watch New Japan that often.
You should go to a Hot Topic. They had a lot of those shirts.
I know that Dashing Chris Bay is in it, and I like him, and I like Switchblade Jay White. They're cool. So
yeah. One last Streamlab that came through here. Hell yeah, love that shirt, Chris. Did you know that Aaron doesn't rank Stone Cold Steve Austin in his top 10? Charlotte and Andrade were working out on IG recently, so are they not broken up? Aaron, you've got to answer. You got to get the answer to this. I thought they weren't a thing anymore. That Page three-way was something else. Ha ha. Dusty promo, Rocha? No, I can't. I quit
with the promos.
Yeah, but hot times. Aaron, Chris' reaction that Aaron does not have Stone Cold Steve Austin in his top 10 wrestlers of all time.
Aaron, I don't think my whole opinion of you is in question right now. What could that mean?
I don't think that's true. I think I had Stone Cold at number 5. I thought.
No, I don't know. It's 15. I think you put him in number 15. I think it's
yikes.
I think it was like 4. I think it was like 4 or 5. I don't think I had Stone Cold.
We'll have
not in the top 10
for sure.
We will talk about this again in a later date.
Aaron, thoughts on Andrade and Charlotte? What do you know about it?
I'm sorry. In relationship news, it looks like they are still together. So good for them. Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti still going strong. So everything looks good so far on the relationship front. Looks like Braun Strowman's plowing Nia Jax's mother with his girlfriend.
Okay.
That's great, man. That's healthy. So that's cool. I saw that Paige was talking about relationships on Twitter, and she said that like it's hard for her to get a date because people see her as like a TV personality, and they always want to talk about that. So like if they know who she is at first, she's like, I'm not interested. So I kind of thought that was interesting. Like that's
Paige? I thought she was with somebody. Did they break up?
Well, maybe she was just talking about relationships in general.
Okay.
Like because she like if they know who she is immediately right off the bat, she's like, I don't know if I'm interested. It's weird. So that's all I got for relationship news. Everything else seems to be good on the up and up.
My girlfriend here. I met her in person. Paige is beautiful in person. Good God Almighty, she's gorgeous in person. All right. That's everything there. I think that's everything. Dusty, I can't give you a Dusty promo, man. Give me a week. I'll think of something. I'll give you a Dusty promo.
Chris Taylor's dropping bombs in the chat. He says now I've got MILF Twitter on my side. So okay. Fine with that.
Anyway, all right,
shout out to Lisa Ann. Sorry, let's get out of here.
We're almost in 2 hours. It's way too far. Thank you all so much for joining us. God damn it. Black Star Afro 2 said Shane being a manager for Keith Lee would be good because he can take bumps. Managers taking bumps is what is missing. But all right. What do you guys think?
Keith Lee can take bumps. Why Keith Lee take a bump? Yeah, I know that Keith Lee sounds like when he does promos that he's reading a dictionary. I get it, but we could fix that.
Shout out to the articulate black men in the world. Absolutely, Keith Lee. Use that diction, brother. Use that lexicon. You don't need a manager. You're the man. We're good on that. And managers should take bumps.
Exactly. Just as long as he's not the Bearcat or whatever they call him. Whatever they call him. It was
Bearcat Keith Lee roaring into Monday Night Raw next week. I'll never forget that graphic. It's fucking terrible.
That's truly. All right, let's get on out of here. Thank you, Black Star Afro, too, for those last 2 super chats. Appreciate it madly. Thanks to Last Cinema Sailor and everybody else who sent in Streamlabs super chats today. We appreciate it. Thanks for keeping the chat lively. We had over 100 people watching us for a majority of the show, so thank you very much, but only 50 likes. If you're watching right now and 95 of you are and you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button, please, to get our numbers up. The likes and comments are where we get visibility. The more the likes, the more comments, it elevates visibility, suggests it for other people who are watching pro wrestling content on those sidebars there on YouTube. So leave a comment if you're watching it later. A lot of you do. So thanks to Chris Burns. Chris, good stuff, brother, man. Where can they find you and what you got going on?
At Chris Please on all the things. That's where the Darkitect is.
Do you have your shirts anywhere to show people? Like, do you have a website for your shirts, or do you just kind of keep them there in the closet?
You can go at Wrestle Fetish on Instagram. That's where I highlight the shirts.
There you go. There's places to go. Aaron, another fun show, brother, man. Where can they find you and everything going on?
I'm staring at that Bret Hart show that Chris has back there. It's a classic. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Only Aaron Turner. Murderanta in the chat says Heyman takes bumps of coke, and then just find me there where I will be talking relationship news between wrestlers and other things. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it.
I don't know what's going on with my camera, so hopefully I can hang on before as I end the show here. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and yes, on TikTok. I'll be doing some weird shit on TikTok, but also putting some interviews and reviews up there as well. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Been doing a lot of watch-alongs. Aaron and I did our Royal Rumble watch-along last week, and we'll be doing more stuff on there. Gonna do Super Bowl, gonna do some movie watch-alongs starting next week as well through Amazon Prime, so definitely head on over to Twitch and hang out there. Top 10 Cinephiles, Geek Buddies, all podcasts that are open. We just did our live spoiler review of episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett last night on the Geek Buddies. Is up on the channel now for you to watch. And later on today at 3 p.m. PT, the Ultimate Schmodown After Show returns on this channel. I will be taking on the champion of the Outlaw Nation Movie Trivia League in a champion versus champion match in a fun back and forth. I haven't studied one damn bit for this match. This is just for fun and exhibition. And thanks again. That's right. And thanks again to everybody who sent such great comments and compliments over the Yodi Award. I'm officially done, retired, out of the game. It was a blast. Thank you all so much. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new live episode of Strong Style. Peace.